podcast. Hello, everyone. My name is Zain Clements-Hall, and I'm coming to you live from my living room. This is the start of my incredibly geeky podcast on LGBTQ plus music history. This is also probably the gayest history podcast you will ever listen to, both because of the subject and the person recording it. Well, although my primary field of study is Jewish history, I'm also very passionate about music history, specifically LGBTQ plus music history. So, without further ado, let's get into it and start geeking out. Our story begins in the year 1917, with a young black girl who loved to wear her brother's suits. This young woman would move from Philadelphia to Harlem in 1923 at the age of 16 and become one of the most prolific performers of the Harlem Renaissance. Her name was Gladys Bentley. If that name doesn't sound familiar, it's because her fame was eclipsed by her contemporaries, Ma Rainey and Bessie Smith. While Ma Rainey and Bessie Smith were more traditionally feminine, Gladys Bentley continually wore suits throughout her performance career. Perhaps her masculinized lesbian persona is the reason she's hidden from history. I mentioned Ma Rainey and Bessie Smith earlier, so now let's move on to their stories. Their stories are linked, so I'll tell them together. Ma Rainey, the mother of the blues herself, was born in Columbus, Georgia on April 26, 1886. Or possibly in September 1882 in Alabama. We don't really know. Meanwhile, Bessie Smith was born in Chattanooga, Tennessee on April 15, 1894. Rainey, who took her stage name from her husband William Pa Rainey, was openly bisexual and addressed her bisexuality through her music. Her openness about her sexuality and her relationships with women most likely contributed to the end of her marriage in 1916. During her travels, Rainey met Bessie Smith, who was also openly bisexual, and became her mentor. They met around 1912, and it's commonly believed that they began a relationship at this time. However, Smith soon began to outshine her mentor, recording and touring regularly until 1928. The Depression caused Smith's career to decline. As a result of her declining career, Smith began binge drinking, which is never a good idea, and she never recorded another song after 1933. She also took a 3-year hiatus from performing, but eventually returned to the stage in 1936. Sadly, she died in a car accident in 1937, which is a real bummer, and cut her career short. Her one-time love, Ma Rainey, passed away 2 years later in 1939. A prolific jazz musician who drew inspiration from Ma Rainey and Bessie Smith was born as Eleanor Fagan in Philadelphia in 1915, but she was better known as Billie Holiday. Although she began performing in 1928, Holiday first achieved notoriety in 1933 when she was discovered by writer and producer John Hammond. Holiday was also openly bisexual and was able to have a successful career through the 1940s despite her sexuality. However, at the height of her career, Holiday became addicted to drugs, slowly deteriorating after multiple arrests, until her death in 1959. And on that depressing note, we conclude episode 1. Woohoo! My next episode will cover the transition from jazz to rock and roll in the 1940s and 50s. But that's it for now. Bye, y'all!